You wake up with a tight chest and a restless mind. Conversations from yesterday replay without permission. Words you should have said return sharper than when they were spoken. Small moments feel heavy. A look, a comment, a delay. Anger does not arrive as fire. It arrives as weight. It sits behind the eyes and drains energy before the day even begins. You carry it into work. You carry it home. You carry it into silence. At night, when the world slows down, the mind accelerates. You rehearse arguments alone. You defend yourself against people who are no longer present. Sleep becomes shallow because the mind refuses to stand down. You feel wronged, unseen, and quietly disrespected. Yet nothing changes. The world keeps moving forward. People laugh. People forget. You remain behind, holding emotional debris that was never meant to be carried this long. This anger does not make you dangerous. It makes you exhausted. It steals focus. It steals dignity. It makes you reactive to things that should never touch your center. You sense there must be another way to live, but no one taught you how. So you endure. You suppress. You hope it will pass. But the weight remains, patient and familiar. If you observe yourself honestly, a pattern emerges. The same triggers repeat. The same emotional hooks catch you again and again. Someone interrupts you. Someone ignores effort. Someone speaks without care. The reaction is immediate. The emotion lingers. Hours later, the moment still occupies your mind. Meanwhile, the other person has already moved on. They eat, they rest. They sleep without disturbance. You remain trapped in the aftermath. This is the quiet imbalance. You continue paying for an event that already ended. You tell yourself anger means strength, but strength that harms you is not strength. It is untrained emotion. You were never taught how to process irritation, so you internalized it. You were never taught detachment, so you personalized everything. This is not a flaw in character. It is a lack of training. Just as an untrained body reacts poorly under pressure, an untrained mind collapses under emotional friction. Once you see the pattern, blame disappears. Responsibility remains. And responsibility is power. Because what is trained can be strengthened. What is understood can be controlled. The moment you stop calling this weakness, change becomes possible. Long before modern psychology, there were men who studied the mind under pressure. They governed empires. They survived exile. They endured war, illness, and betrayal. Their writings were not motivational slogans. They were survival manuals. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, while fighting internal anger every day. Epictetus lived as a slave before becoming one of history's most disciplined teachers. Their solution was simple and ruthless. Control what belongs to you. Release what does not. Stoicism was forged in hardship, not comfort. It was designed for moments when emotions threaten clarity. These philosophers did not promise a life without difficulty. They promised a mind that could not be shaken by it. They trained perception. They trained restraint. They trained judgment. And the result was inner sovereignty. Not suppression. Not denial, mastery. This philosophy has survived centuries because it works under pressure. If your anger feels overwhelming, it is because your mind has not yet been trained. Stoicism is that training. And once learned, it never leaves you. Imagine waking up without emotional residue from yesterday. The mind is quiet. The body feels rested. When something irritating happens, you notice it without reacting. Your breath remains steady. Your posture remains grounded. You no longer rehearse conversations in your head. You no longer burn energy on imagined confrontations. People sense this calm. They speak differently around you. Respect follows restraint. Sleep becomes deeper because the mind is no longer fighting itself. Decisions become cleaner because emotion no longer clouds judgment. You respond only when response is useful. Silence becomes a choice, not avoidance. You feel lighter, not because life became easier, but because you stopped carrying what was never yours. Challenges still arrive, but they stop disturbing your center. You act instead of reacting. You observe instead of absorbing. This calm does not make you passive. It makes you precise. Your presence stabilizes rooms. Your words carry weight because they are not rushed by emotion. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional command. And once experienced, you will never willingly return to chaos. Stoic calm is not an attitude. It is a system. A set of habits practiced daily, not when convenient. These habits build mental armor layer by layer. Each one is simple. None are dramatic. Their power comes from repetition. You do not eliminate anger by fighting it. You replace it with discipline. These 6 habits work together: perception, pause, control, preparation, perspective, protection. Each habit strengthens the next. Together, they create emotional sovereignty. This is not philosophy for discussion. This is philosophy for use. You apply it in traffic, in conversations, in moments of disrespect. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. With time, emotional storms lose force. Triggers lose grip. And you become someone who cannot be easily disturbed. Mastery is built quietly, habit by habit. Habit 1. Control perception. The first habit is mastering perception. Events themselves are neutral. They carry no emotion. Judgment creates suffering. A delayed message is not disrespect. A comment is not an attack. These meanings are added by you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that things are not disturbing, but our judgments about them are. When someone speaks sharply, the sound waves do nothing. Your interpretation ignites anger. This habit requires discipline. When something happens, label it factually. Words were spoken. An action occurred. Stop there. Do not assign motive. Do not create narrative. Most anger is manufactured internally. You suffer more in imagination than in reality. Practice separating observation from interpretation. This alone dissolves much emotional friction. Over time, you regain authority over your reactions. The world remains the same. You change. And that is enough. Habit 2. Insert the pause dot between stimulus and response. There is a space. That space is power. The second habit is learning to pause. When irritation rises, slow the body. Relax the jaw. Lower the shoulders. Breathe deeply through the nose. Count silently if needed. This physical pause interrupts emotional momentum. You are not denying emotion. You are delaying reaction. Epictetus taught that self-control begins here. Most regret comes from speed. A slow response is rarely regretted. Train yourself to wait. Even a few seconds changes everything. The pause allows reason to enter. With practice, this space grows. And within it, you regain choice. Habit 3. Focus on control. The third habit is ruthless clarity about control. You control your effort. You control your choices. You control your character. You do not control others. When anger appears, ask one question. Is this within my control? If not, release it. Energy spent elsewhere is theft from yourself. Stoicism demands discipline of attention. Redirect energy inward. Improve what belongs to you. This habit restores dignity. Habit 4. Practice negative visualization. The fourth habit is preparation. Through imagination. Each morning, anticipate difficulty. Delays will occur. People will disappoint. When it happens, you are not shocked. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Expecting difficulty reduces anger because surprise disappears. You meet resistance calmly because you were ready. Habit 5. View from above. The fifth habit expands perspective. Zoom out. See your problem from above. A small moment in a vast world. A brief irritation in a long life. This habit dissolves intensity. What felt heavy becomes light when placed in context. Time and scale reduce emotion naturally. Habit 6. Strategic solitude. The sixth habit is protecting your energy. Not everyone deserves access. Solitude restores clarity. Boundaries prevent resentment. You withdraw without bitterness. Distance becomes strategy. Peace becomes non-negotiable. Together, these habits form a sovereign identity. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You move with intention. Calm becomes your default state. This is Stoicism lived, not discussed. If this philosophy resonates, write Stoic in the comments and subscribe Anonymous Achiever to continue training the mind. Return daily. Remain disciplined. Remain unshaken.